Hello everyone, this is Allegedly Caleb, and I'm back with another Panzer Campaigns overview video. This time I'm going to be going over Philippines 44. Now I think this is actually the first Pacific game that I've covered on this channel, so this will be a little bit different from our other Panzer Campaign overviews. Now this game's currently on sale on the WDS website, so if you want to get it, definitely check it out there. We're going to take a quick little view at their Game of the Week posting. So you can see it's off 25%. That's their Game of the Week. They have a Game of the Week every week. It's usually either a Panzer Campaigns game or another game from their catalogs. But Philippines 44 is a really unique one because it is essentially island warfare between two different, very large islands in the Philippines. It's 1944, near the end of 1944, and the Japanese are definitely they know they're going to lose the war at this point, and they're just trying to make it as costly as they can for the Allies. So this game features 70 scenarios, 2 master maps, 1 for an island, and man, one of my best friends is Filipino, so I should really know how to pronounce, at least I know Luzon, but Leyte. Anyway, 2 big maps that cover both of those islands. And then both sides, it's a mix of armor, planes, a bunch of different infantry. You even got Philippine guerrillas all over the place. Filipino guerrillas, which is pretty cool. And then the actual island terrain is really interesting. It presents quite a conundrum and a lot of good strategic and operational choices for each player on where they should defend from, where they should attack. You never quite know where your opponent is going to set up their defensive lines. So quite an interesting game. Now let's take a look at them. So you got Operation Leyte, which took place first on October 20th, which was, I guess, earlier this month was the anniversary. So we'll take a look at this map. This is the smaller map. So you can see here, most or all, I should say, of the Allied forces start off of the beach. Let me turn the background noise off before it gets my channel copyrighted. Anyway, so you have most of the Allied forces starting off from their beachheads, and then you've got the Japanese defenses. So on this map, there's 2 main defense points along these beaches. You can see both of them there, and then you zoom out to the full map, and the Japanese have a pretty interesting area to retreat back to. So it's going to be quite interesting. I believe this is the area that the Japanese received a bunch of their reinforcements from. That Breakneck Ridge is a very famous battle site. Honestly, all of these islands, at least all these big islands, were fought tooth and nail for. So anyway, that's the first one. You can see there's even little islands you can fight over if you want. You do have a amphibious U.S. infantry division, so you can really, they're supposed to move over to this way to move on to Samar Island, but anyway, that's the first island. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other scenarios. These are all just smaller versions, like cuts from the main scenario. The thing you want to look out for when looking at the scenarios is these numbers. That's the date. So 10/20, it's Americanized, so that's October 20th. And then each scenario on that starts on that specific date. So here's one that will have some units already in contact with the enemy. So for example, this is what you'll get in the smaller types of scenarios. You got some Filipinos here. See, a lot of these units already have fatigue, so they've been fighting on the beach and I would imagine, have just been under artillery fire this whole time and mortar fire. Most of these units are no longer at 100% manpower either. So you can see the Japanese are fighting over every inch. It's the Japanese 16th Division against the U.S. 7th Infantry Division. Anyway, let's continue looking. Here's another one. This looks like the exact same scenario. Interesting. I don't really understand what's different about that other than it's longer. Okay, here's another one. This one's about a week into the invasion. Okay, so you got some more Filipinos, got a bunch of Americans, got the tanks back here, more American units, then you got the Japanese. So quite a lot of area to work with on this map, but a lot of it is rough terrain. Next up, let's take a look at what this one is. It's another tiny little scenario. Cool. This is actually just a little cut of, again, that last scenario we looked at. Here's another cut of that little scenario, I believe. Yep. This one focuses on the 24th Infantry Division. Okay, then we've got the battle for Breakneck Ridge. That takes place maybe about 2 weeks later, November 7th. Here we are. The Americans pretty beat up at this point. They do have their a lot of good support units though, and most of the Japanese here have not seen combat in this campaign yet. They've even got some tanks, which is interesting because the Japanese are not really known for their tanks. Americans sure do have heavy artillery though. Okay, got a second Breakneck Ridge. So they're fighting again. Whew. Japanese are basically trying to overwhelm these guys, I think. Meanwhile, the Americans are trying to reconnect with them. What's this little guy? Ooh, he's got a lot of soft attack. A little tank destroyer. Ooh, this is a big scenario. Turning corners. Got some of that second battle of Breakneck Ridge, but this one is interspersed with a lot more units. So you got these Filipino divisions, or these aren't divisions, these are just companies. Probably made up of a lot of those Filipino soldiers that typically were part of the guerrilla groups. What's this? U.S. Marines. Nice. So these darker ones are the Marines. Interesting. We haven't really seen many Marines. So this is all infantry. Wonder where the Marines were at this point. So you've got some of the Marine artillery. Interesting. So that's turning corners. That seems like a fun scenario. Here, that's what we just looked at. Got a couple smaller scenarios from that. Okay, here's one. The link up. Let's see what this is. Okay. This is more phase defense, essentially. Battle of the airfields, only 33 turns. That's a tiny. Oh, you got the airborne. Ooh, nice. You got the airborne over here. The 11th Airborne Division. Interesting. I wonder if they're not as well known. They're probably not as well known as the airborne divisions that were involved in D-Day. Then you got cleaning the Ormoc Valley. Another interesting scenario. This scenario essentially has more allies attacking Axis forces. Let's see what else there is. All right, here we are. Here's another big campaign size game. Ooh, I think this was the biggest one. So this is going to be an interesting one. Let me take a sip of my drink really quick. All right. So all that red, that is Japanese. All the blue, except for this right here, all the blue on the map are Filipino guerrillas. So there's a lot of guerrilla forces that the Allies get to play with. Now this is quite an interesting map. Look at all this. Imagine fighting over all that. Oh, look at that. I didn't notice that on my first overview of the map, because I did look at this before. Ooh, those are some big guns. I did take a look at these maps before I recorded the video, just to see what I should expect. Well, here you got Manila, the famous Battle of Manila, where the Americans essentially fought the Japanese for the whole city. And you can see this is like the Pacific Stalingrad. Like, you even got a river right here cutting the city in half. And you got all this forest / jungle out there. Got so much like flooded fields. Here's a giant mountain. That's Bataan right there. Bataan Death March. Got more guys. This one's interesting. I don't understand why this unit is just up on this hill. It doesn't really seem like the Allies have to root them out if they don't want to. Really, all they got to worry about is taking Clark Field, right? And then they just isolate them. Anyways, that was kind of strange to me. Seems like kind of Japanese mindset during this time of just like trying to do last stands. They've got some interesting tanks in this scenario though. They've actually got a decent amount of armor all spread out. Obviously, it's not going to come close to the amount that the Allies have, but it's quite a lot still. Anyway, here is the U.S. landing zone, or the Allied landing zone, I should say. Then you got a whole bunch of those Japanese tokens. Excuse me. And then and actually the map continues up on another map. So we're going to take a look at that. That's the Luzon campaign. Now, most of the other smaller scenarios actually start with a couple days after. So here you are. Here's a small one. These maps I feel like would be pretty fun to play in the not WDS, and the wargaming clubs tournaments. Anyway, here's another version. This one has the Americans landed. So it doesn't seem like they were contested too much when they landed. It's just the Japanese kind of held a position further out, which might have been a mistake. But most of their forces are up here. Okay. Now, I don't know, what's the difference between these? Oh, this is a alternate version of this scenario where the Japanese force deployments are changed. The forces from northern Luzon have been moved into the Central Valley in order to contest the Allied drive to Manila and Clark Field. Let's see the difference. Oh yeah, you see? Now there's a bunch of people right here in between the Allies and their overall goals of Manila and Clark Field. Interesting. You've got another, I think this might be another smaller scenario. Oh, this is actually not that small at all. This is a decently sized one. Okay. The battle for Clark Field. Here it is. Oh, here's a little one. This is a very small scenario. Okay. Clark Field, 4 Hills. It's going to be another small one. Oh, this is tiny. Clark Field, Lafayette Hill. Let's see what that one looks like. Another small one. Alright, let's take a look at the last of these. Okay, Kembo Group solo versus Kembo Group head-to-head. Let's look at the head-to-head one. So you have a interesting. You have a impassable zone that essentially keeps you to where you're gonna have to fight these guys potentially, or else they're gonna cut you off. So you're gonna have to route this Japanese Marine Division. Is that what they are? Navy Air Infantry Company. Are these guys like the Japanese version of a Luftwaffe infantry division? Luftwaffe? Maybe. Interesting. This is something I want to read about. Both because, again, I mentioned I've got a lot of Filipino friends. I know a lot of their like grandparents and really more great grandparents were. Alright, there's still a lot more scenarios, so we won't go through all of them. But I know a lot of them had family who were involved in these. Involved in all this stuff. And you got the race for Manila. Seems like an interesting scenario. Way more mobile than a lot of the other scenarios we've been looking at. I want to see the Battle of Manila and see how many troops were involved in this thing. Okay, here it is. A lot of guys, that's for sure. This was quite a brutal battle. Wonder how much. Okay, nothing's been destroyed yet. Let's see what it looks like a little bit into the battle. Part 2. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Ooh, yeah. Here we go. How much of the city's been destroyed now. Look at all that rubble. Japanese are holding out in the southwestern part of the city. The Americans are low. Manila is kind of like the climax, I think, of the Philippines. All right, now here's the last scenario. This is the northern. Actually, I guess there's a couple. There's this is a big one. The last big campaign, I think. The Northern Luzon campaign. Now this whole game could give you probably like years of entertainment because there are multiple 500 plus 400 plus scenarios. So you can see here's that line we saw earlier on the other map. And now you have the whole rest of the island to fight over. More blue. Those are all Filipinos. Crazy. All right, now let's see. Anything else? Clearing South Luzon. Oh, those are small scenarios. Then yeah, that might have been the last large, like truly large scenario. Okay, yeah. I want to see the master maps. Whew. Now how about the master map of Luzon? Jeez, look at this thing. This is where they landed. This is where the most brutal fighting took place, I believe. But man, that's crazy. Look, this map is huge. So, as you see, when you get this game, you're going to get a crap ton of content. Like, so much. I am very glad I picked this up, because I am looking forward to digging into this. Although I say that about every single one. I wish I could live for 500 years so I could just take as much time as I wanted, because that's how long it would take you to really dig into all of WDS's Panzer Campaign games. But anyway, everyone, I don't have 500 years, so I'm going to end this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, if you want to see more Pacific war stuff in general, especially with WDS games, let me know. I also have Japan 45, which is a simulation from WDS of what it would be like in trying to invade the Japanese home islands. So anyway, everyone, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.